Okay, got it. And just let it load up. Sorry, guys. There we go. All right, you're good to go.
We're good to go. Well, good evening, everyone. And welcome to the August 2022 meeting of the HARB, the City of Scranton Historic Architecture Review Board. I would like to call the meeting to order. My name is Richard Leonori. I'm a Scranton architect and the chair. And if we simply can go through the board and the city representation and then introduce our guests.
Okay. Richard Leonori,
Here.
present. Conrad Bosley.
Here.
William Lesniak, he is absent. Katie Gilmartin is also absent. Mike Muller.
Here.
And Katie Kearney.
Here.
Okay. And our solicitor, Daniel Penetar.
I'm here.
Thank you, Dan. Okay. We were sent the minutes of the meeting, I do believe. Did everyone have a chance to read them? Is there anything anyone would like to make a comment? If they are acceptable, I would accept a motion to accept the minutes from the July meeting.
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Katie. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, our minutes are approved for July. We have a number of applications for certificates of appropriateness tonight. Our first is for 116 North Washington Avenue, the Empanada King signage. So maybe you can bring that up. Brittany, we can take a look at what has been presented here.
Okay.
Okay, and we have, I assume we have representation for this.
Yes.
We have guests here? Yes.
There's Karina and Calvin Diaz.
Okay, great. Okay, so this is a signage request, right?
I'm sorry?
It's a signage request.
Signage, yes. And they also checked off alteration, restoration, and renovation.
Okay, let's see, what are they doing in terms of the alteration?
You guys, Karina, between Karina and Calvin, you guys can present to the board now if you'd like.
Okay,
All right, so I'm gonna move this over so you guys can see. And zoom out a little bit.
okay. Well, the signage is pretty obvious. What's the alterations to the building?
Calvin, you want
Calvin,
to?
I was gonna say, you're still muted.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Excuse me, may you explain that? I'm sorry.
Kelvin?
Yes.
Yeah, what else, what are you doing to the building other than the signage?
No, nothing else, just the signage.
Okay, my question on this signage, the sign here, the one that's not the ones that are in the windows, but the one that's at right angles to the building. What is the nature of that sign?
24 inch by 48 inch.
And what is it made of?
What is made of?
Yes.
It's aluminum and all galvanized steel.
Does it light up?
Yes,
Okay.
it's a double face LED inside. It's like a plate, 18 inch through the building, to the bricks.
Okay.
And it's like a 2 bars, 16 inch wide. That's holder the actually the framing.
Okay, where are the wires coming from? I don't see any, would the wires be concealed?
we don't have any plans for the electricity. Yeah.
Okay. So I would open this up for some discussion of the board. And I'm going to ask you, I think, Kelvin, I'm going to start this up with saying, what if we tell you that we would prefer that this does not light up internally?
That decision, they have to, Karina and Kelvin, they have to decide.
Okay. Because that, I think in general, we would prefer signs that have lights on them or non-illuminated signs rather than internally lit signs. I would like to open this up to some discussion from the board. Conrad, Michael, Katie.
I mean, I can begin, sure. Hello, everybody. This is Mike Muller.
Hello.
I did review the application. I think Richard is right. I think the fact that this is an illuminated sign box, I was trying to look for a dimension and how deep it is, and I don't see anything that calls that out. But regardless, I think the sign will be more successful if it's not an illuminated box, because it'll be thinner, for one. And I think you can illuminate it by a different method, shining lights at it, as opposed to it being illuminated from within.
See,
Yeah.
Sorry, you're talking about, it's like an aluminum plate with aluminum framing, of course, and just I put 2 LED behind, that way it's focused to the sign.
No, I mean, I can show you possibly an example beyond the scope of this board meeting, but I think this would be a more successful sign if it were non-illuminated, meaning no power in it at all.
right.
You could shine lights at it from another location. And I'm not even sure dimensionally it needs to be this large, but that's my second point here is its location, I question. You know, I don't know how it's located within the building. If Brittany, if you want to advance to the photo of the facade. Yeah, it does. I mean, I don't know if this
It just seems random
yeah, I mean,
in
it's a
terms of
bad
its play. It's not
perspective.
centered between the windows and
So I actually went over there today to take a measurement because I was trying to prepare for this meeting and make sure I was offering good recommendations.
okay.
And my instinct is that the top of the sign shouldn't be any taller than the top of the window. And it should be centered between the windows. But I was concerned that the bottom of the sign would be too low. And it actually would fit because the top of the window is at 11 feet.
Yeah, I think we would need, you could drop the sign and put the top of it with the windows, and as long as it was 6'8" above the sidewalk, it would meet any kind of handicap restrictions or codes, and people would not hit their heads on it. So I think we would be looking to center it between the windows, to drop it. And of course, our preference would be that it is not illuminated, self-illuminated.
And I would go one step further. And unfortunately, at my visit today, I came to learn that this entire facade is being clad in a completely different material. And you can kind of get a hint of it in this photograph. On the far right side, there's a black panel on top of the window. And it looks like work started to clad over the brick of the entire lower level of this building. And then there was a stop work order posted on the window, and that work has since stopped. But my point is,
Well, that's going to have to come before us if that's going on.
No, I can explain about that. The owner just placed that on the building just to test it out to see if he likes the thing, but he's not going to continue that because he disliked that black panel on it, so he's not going to continue it. He had a company place down the corner to see how would it fit on the building, how would he like it.
I see.
Is
Well,
it
I
planning
feel
to-
like if the facade were black or brick, I would make different recommendations for what the sign could or should be. So
I would too.
I feel like if there's an intention to renovate the facade, I would want that project to happen either simultaneously or prior to a signage decision, because you're going to have to take your sign back off after they put the new siding up anyway, and that will upset the whole thing.
Got it.
Now, in terms of the signage that's on the glass, I think, first of all, that's less permanent. I would ask if you would consider making the background color white rather than yellow. I think it would calm this down a little bit. I would find it more attractive. But anyway, I think we're less critical about that because that's a less permanent kind of sign,
Yes.
right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, my only comment with regards to the window signage is, and I understand this rendering is not 100% accurate,
Right.
but given the fact that burgers is a shorter word than sandwiches, my hope would be that the font size is consistent for all the signs, that burgers isn't a bigger font than the word sandwich.
Right.
Yeah, I got it.
And then it creates one band. And again, I would ask you to consider doing that in white. But I think in terms of your proposed light up sign, I would, and the fact that maybe the rest of this facade is going to get retreated in some way, I think I would, the board makes the say here, but I would recommend that we reject this and we see you again next month. So,
Okay, I'm sorry, my name is Karina. I have a question.
yes,
So
Karina.
I pretty much wrote down everything that you guys just specified, and we obviously would not have a problem with any of the changes that you're requesting, just
Oh.
because obviously we want the building
Okay.
good the same way. You know, I know it's a historical building. Now, when it comes to the changes, and you're saying for us to show up next month, is this something that we have to reapply, or would be automatically for next month?
Well, I would go to Dan on that, but I would think you would not have to reapply. We could do this as part of the same.
Okay, so pretty much have the next changes as soon as possible. So then for next meeting, pretty much we have hopefully, you know, something that is gonna, you know, accommodate everybody else.
I would say yes to that. Dan, you would like to weigh in on that? Is that okay?
As in terms of the application, I don't think necessarily that they would need to reapply. It sounds like in this scenario, what we need is more of something in writing from the building owner as to what they're actually intending to do with the outside of the building. Because if they tell us we're not doing anything, or we're painting it, or we're changing the material entirely, it seems like that would completely change everyone's opinion on the signage.
Right.
So I think that would be, those are my thoughts on it.
Okay. And anyway, yeah, I mean, I would hope you wouldn't have to, I understand, you don't want to go through the application again and all. I think this could just be sort of the continuation of a dialogue until we reach
Yeah, maybe rather than a
reach an
rejection,
approved design.
it's a tabling rather than a rejection.
Yes. Does that seem fair for everyone?
Or, yeah, definitely.
Okay, may I have a motion to that effect?
I'll
Yes.
try that. Sure. I'll make a motion that we table this application until we have more information regarding the facade and another review of the revisions to the signage.
Given considerations of those recommendations, that we drop the sign, we center it between the windows. We consider it not being self-illuminated.
Yes.
Correct. Yes, that's everything that I have written down here.
Okay.
too.
Okay.
And I'll second that, but I
Good.
also want to know when you're going to open.
Yes, agreed.
Hopefully very soon. We're trying to finish up the sign. That's giving us definitely our run for our money.
Okay.
Hopefully, you know, as soon as this is done, you know, we can finish up everything else, and God's willing very soon, because we
Good.
want just as much as you want us to open.
I
Okay,
know it makes me sad that I don't work downtown anymore. You guys would have been an excellent lunch spot.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Anyway, we wish you the best on this endeavor. And
so much, and we will see you again, hopefully in the next meeting.
Yes, and since this is published on YouTube, you get another free commercial. So.
true,
Great.
true.
Thank you so
Do we
much.
have a date for the next meeting?
It's the second Thursday of September, I would believe.
September 8th.
September. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. That's no problem. Thank you
Yeah.
very
Sorry,
Thank
one
you.
second. I have a question for the board actually about
Yes.
this. Would it make sense in this scenario to have the applicant consider, I mean, it's going to depend on the timeline for whatever's being done to the outside of the building, but would it make sense for them to consider some kind of more temporary signage if the renovations aren't going to happen in a timely fashion on the outside of the building? Because
If they,
you know,
I
it
think,
seems
yes, Dan, I would say
Okay.
that if they need to open and something else is going to happen, perhaps they can simply do this as a banner. That would be a temporary solution.
So that would,
Go ahead, Cole.
Question, has to be a banner or can I use like a lumen core? That way it looks like more flat.
Well,
As
why
as
don't
long
we
as it's
address that next
temporary.
month and see what's going on if we know more? Right, if you're gonna, if you're gonna need a temporary sign,
what about if we're if we exceeded the time and we're gonna open before the meeting, just in case? What should we do? A
well,
banner
that's why I guess I was saying a temporary of some sort. I
as a
mean,
banner?
Well, has to be a banner because I can recommend instead of banner, a lumen core because the banner, if you have like a heavy wind, they can, you know, blow out easily.
well, okay, what if you were to do a flat panel between these two windows, the size of the space between the two windows, non-illuminated, your
Okay.
same graphic,
Same graphic?
Temper.
just occupy the whole space
Okay,
Yeah, flat against the brick. you're
and
saying.
flat against the building.
okay.
You say between the two windows?
Yeah, between the two
Above the
windows.
Above the window, between the two windows.
Between the two windows,
Not
the
above.
same height as the window, from the sill to the top of the window. That whole brick pier, not up
Okay.
there, down here, in between the windows.
All the brick, Brittany, between burgers and sandwiches. Yep.
Yeah,
right there,
between
up and
burgers
down.
and sandwiches,
There.
Oh, dropping down.
dropping down,
Okay.
right? It's about the same proportion. You could fill that space.
Yeah.
Yeah, the width
just put
between
it
the
flat.
windows is like 40 inches, and the windows are, I don't remember how tall. They're about 5 feet tall.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to see if there's any dimensions of the windows on here. I'm sorry, guys.
No, there isn't. I had to go measure today because I wanted to know. There wasn't any dimensions.
Okay.
I can
Well,
say
even if you kept it to 24 by 48 and centered it on that pilaster,
It'll fit. Yeah,
it'll
for
fit.
sure.
That would fit, you know.
okay.
Is that okay?
Yes.
We might not like that so much you won't need the permanent sign. Okay.
It might come out cheaper.
Yeah, it very well may, okay?
Yes. All right. Thank you so much for your time. We will definitely work on this.
Thank you so much.
Yes,
Have a
thank you.
Great day.
Okay, good luck. Bye-bye. Okay, next. What do we have here?
Next
Brittany?
is 340 North Washington, dealing with the traffic control boxes. I put it to 340 because they are Scranton owned, but it's around the city. So these were heard at your last meeting,
Yes.
and Wayne and Scranton Tomorrow did provide more details. Here we go.
Okay.
All right, so here's the first one. There's a few of them in here.
Okay. Well, this hasn't changed a great deal. I think we know what this is. Do we have any comments, guys? I mean, I think these should be fun. They're basically, I guess, sort of wallpapered, right?
Yeah, pretty much. That's what we're gonna do. Yeah, it'll be
And,
vinyl, but it'll feel like wallpaper.
Right? I mean,
Most of the pictures that we have are very muted, Richard. I know you talked about the color.
yeah,
last time.
I can see that.
Yeah, and these are all the pictures. These are basically all the boxes. What they'll look like.
Yeah, they're nice. I think they're
QR
very
code.
nice.
Yeah, I
I
think
mean,
it's
I
gonna be
love
really
this so much.
I know it's gonna be cool, Katie. Yeah, and obviously they're a eyesore right now. you know, they're.
Yeah, no, this is a
Talked
very
about
nice
that.
project, Wayne.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we basically approved your project last time, so this is sort of.
Well,
a
I
courtesy
don't think we
review.
weren't really on the agenda last time. We were on just to give you more of a
Okay.
overview. So now we're
Okay.
actually on the agenda for approval.
Well, thank you. I mean, I like the watercolor. Do we have any other comments? Does anybody want to make a motion on this?
I particularly love the aerial photograph. It's one of the oldest I've seen, and I've never seen it before, and I think it's a fabulous photograph.
The Scranton of my childhood when it was a real city. Yeah.
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 Black One on the Historical Society was a big help with this. They're one of our partners in this, and they provided all the pictures and some of the work.
Walking down Spruce Street was like walking in Manhattan. Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes, it was.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Of course, I support the project. So congrats on dressing up our pretty ugly transformer boxes.
Yes.
Yeah. Thanks, Mike.
Yes. There's the
Yeah,
YMCA where I
plan
live.
is to do 10 or 11 this year, and then maybe the rest of them next year.
Excellent. Okay. Do we need a motion?
Yes.
I will make a motion to accept the plans and be very excited to see them go in. I think they look wonderful, Wayne. I love the pictures.
Thanks,
Very
Katie.
nice.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Wayne, good luck with this.
Okay. Awesome. Well, thank you
Very
guys very
nice.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brittany, for getting me back on the agenda. And hopefully we'd like to turn this around by fall. So hopefully by October, we might have something on the boxes.
That'd be great.
So, all right. Thanks, guys. Thanks for the meeting. Good
Thank
luck.
you.
Thank you.
All right. Talk to you soon.
Okay. Okay.
And next on your agenda is you just have to approve a,
Invoice?
yes.
Okay. How much is it this time?
If I can see, I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Don't do that to me.
As you can see, Scranton is half.
71.92.
I cannot.
Yes.
Huh?
71.92.
Okay. May I have a motion to approve the invoice?
I'll make a motion.
Second?
I think that was Conrad.
Conrad?
Second.
Okay.
Thank
All in
you.
favor?
Aye.
Okay. So is that our official business, Brittany?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I have a couple things that I'd like to bring up. One is a letter that Dan shared with me regarding the Scranton HARB website. And apparently, if you go to look at that, there are some missing words and some misspellings, and it really needs an editing or possibly a rewriting.
Okay.
And this party that brought this up to Dan offered to do that. But Dan, I'm going to look to you. How do we deal? I think it does need to be improved and corrected. How do we go about it? We did not write it or do the website for the city. So
And this was before my timing.
it was before your time. Absolutely. Yeah.
I can go. I will offer up to go on and double check and grammar check and spell check and all the check
Okay.
to figure out what.
Okay.
is the
Excellent. And maybe for next month we can see what it was and then reread what it will be. How's that? Does that
Yes. No
does
problem.
that sort of address that issue?
Yeah.
Okay.
I have other comments with regards to the website that I see quite often as an architect with applicants who are frustrated, not only as clients of mine, but then seeing it on the other end as part of HARB. And I encourage anyone to visit the City of Scranton's website and try to navigate to find where you would even learn about HARB, because it's nowhere to be found. You have to actually Google Scranton City HARB, and then even then, it's not a complete picture of what is actually happening.
That's what you have to do for all of the city web pages. It's rough.
It is really rough. And so I don't know if it's allowable, but I would think it would benefit the city if whoever is in charge of the website to meet with us so that we can explain what we do and where we sit in the process, so that if they are making updates to the website, it's more obvious to an applicant to follow the process step by step. Because if you go to the permit website, we don't even get listed as anything. And if you go to the zoning ordinance or the zoning map, we are nowhere to be found either. And so if you're an applicant, you wouldn't even know how to begin to understand whether your building is eligible for a HARB review or not. And I know because I'm on the board, but I have to educate my clients because the website doesn't do its job. So if possible, can we recommend the IT person to come join us?
I do believe they are in the midst. Tom Oleski with code enforcement. He also was very concerned about that. So between Don, Tom, and I think myself, we are trying to figure out how to merge the HARB map with the zoning map, so that way people know. And when people are applying online for their permits through OpenGov, that does automatically send them to me to have them fill out a HARB application because
right, but it
OpenGov
happens too
does.
late. So they're
Yeah.
applying for a building permit first and have no concept that there's even a HARB thing. So
Right,
you have to call and tell them, and then they're upset because they didn't know about it.
right,
Where they should be able to educate themselves in advance. Here's the process.
right.
And with regards to the zoning map, I think it's an easy change. The central business district, all it needs is a hash HARB district.
HARB
'cause they're-
overlay. Yeah,
Yes,
Yeah.
they're one and the same,
right.
but nowhere in the zoning map does it list HARB at all. And I think that's a simple move.
Yeah.
So, but if you feel well equipped to handle that coordination, I encourage you to do that. But if you need support from this board, I'd be volunteering all day long to participate in that dialogue because I might know it better than you guys.
That would be grateful. I would be grateful for that help. Thank you.
Sure.
Yeah,
Excellent.
no, I would definitely do that for you guys. No problem.
Okay, so may I request that next month we have at least an update and see if there's any
Yeah.
progress? And let's start with the misspellings and missing words and then see if maybe even if we could add the HARB map to the HARB site.
Yeah.
Something
I
like
do
that.
believe that is possible because I've done it for other boards. I'm learning, crash coursing in the IT of how to navigate our city site. But I have uploaded for like even say human relations stuff. I made their site more accessible to citizens. So yes, I can surely help you guys and put a map on the site.
That's
And
great.
maybe even talk
Excellent.
to Jack and see if we can just, instead of it being a downloadable map, because just have it pop up right on when you, like it's in the background, but you see it's there,
Okay. Well, now I have one more issue to bring up.
Okay.
And I look for input from everyone here, but in the city of Scranton, one does not need a building permit to paint. However, in the HARB, I would think buildings that are to be painted should come before us. And since they don't need a building permit, there's nothing to trigger anybody coming here. Now, there've been a number of buildings. I had a bit of a heart attack a couple weeks ago.
345 Wyoming.
Yes,
345
well, I
Wyoming.
saw it when they primed it bright white, and I thought, oh my God, they're painting this building bright white, on the cathedral block. And then it turned out that was just a primer, but that should have come before us, I think. It's just that there's nothing to trigger it,
Right.
and so I think that Dan, that probably has to go back to Lips. But how do we do that?
I think that it really seems like an issue with it really starts with the website. Again, I think it really starts with the initial phase, depending on what option an applicant chooses, should direct them to where they actually need to go. So the problem, I guess, we're having is that an applicant doesn't need to go to get a permit for painting, right? So
Right. So they never come. So there's nothing to trigger the HARB review.
Right. The issue would be, from my perspective, would be I mean, even if we were to say that the current HARB ordinance does include painting, which I believe arguably it does,
Yes,
because it's an exterior modification to a building that is viewable from a public street.
yes.
The issue is, well, what is our way to enforce that? If a permit is not required, how can HARB enforce that? And that is something that I'm happy to.
Dan, looking at the application, paint is not on here. Like for for a person to
As a checkbox, you mean?
yeah, it's not type of work proposed, check all that apply. It's
Yeah.
just trim and decorative woodwork, siding and masonry, roofing, gutter, downspout, windows, doors, associated hardware, storm windows and storm doors, shutters and associated hardware, skylights, metal work, light fixtures, signs, demolition. And then it says other.
Other.
So paint is not an option.
No, well, it doesn't, and so, well, I don't know, what do my fellow board members think? I mean, so far, we've been fairly lucky, and the
Yeah.
disaster I thought we were gonna have on Wyoming Avenue didn't turn out that badly, but,
Right.
right?
I had the same
Reaction.
I drove by there. I said, oh my gosh, what's he doing? You know,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah,
I was
exactly.
pleasantly surprised 3 days later, but you know.
Yeah, but you know, what if we weren't? You know, what if it stayed that way, or what if there was even something worse put up or something?
Yeah, and
Right.
I don't think, you know, I don't know what I'm not an attorney, Dan, but I don't know what our legal standing would be if we said, hey, you can't do this, and that he could say, you know, show me, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's really what I'd like to, if the board's okay with it, is research, you know, what the board's jurisdiction is in a scenario like that. And then if we determine that we don't have a method of enforcement, then I think the board would have to consider whether we want to ask for some method of enforcement to be able to deal with that scenario, because without it, like everyone's kind of alluding to here, there's going to be a scenario where we're retroactively
Right.
acting when something's already done. And unfortunately, I think, you know, some of the buildings downtown, if paint gets on them, there ain't no going back to the way it was, to put it in simple terms. But and you know, I myself have noticed multiple painting projects going on downtown as well, and I'm happy to look into that if the board would like me to do that.
I would very much like you to do that. I don't know if we need a motion for that, but
If I can comment, I feel as though the way to manage that is to have the licensing department make painting a permittable project, with an exception that if you're painting in kind or not changing a color, then it's allowable. But if it's in the district and you're painting an unpainted surface or you're changing a color, then it's subject to the HARB review. Right? But I think
that seems reasonable to me. I mean, if the building's been painted red and they're just refreshing it and painting it the same red, I don't think we need to see it. But
right.
But like the building on Wyoming Avenue, which was natural brick that was never painted, you know, yeah. I have, it keeps on going on. I have a couple other things. So on Monday, we are opening bids for the Pocket Park. And I don't know where that's going to fall, but I mean, there's been discussion at the city that since it is a city property, it doesn't need a building permit and it doesn't need to come to the HARB. There is also a proposed mural for the back of the county building, the Penn Avenue facade of the Globe store. And I'm certainly in favor of a mural, but I think that too should come before us. And so Anyway, Daniel, do city and county buildings need to get building permits and come before the HARB like everybody else?
Well, I think that is going to ultimately go back to the question of, do they need the permit? Because the permit right now, it sounds like the permit process is the only thing that triggers the HARB review. I'm not personally aware of an exclusion, but I'm happy to look into that as well and see what needs to be done there. But I ultimately think, again, if we ultimately don't have, we need to really see what jurisdiction we have and what method of enforcement that we have in place, because even if that is something that should come before HARB, if we don't have a way to actually enforce it and there's no permit required, it potentially could just be some lapse in the language that was used in some of the ordinances that might need to be revised at some point. But I don't want to speculate, but I think I can certainly look into those issues. I think they're related to the painting issue as well, the jurisdiction and the enforcement methods that we have. Obviously, LIPS has their method of enforcement with, stop work orders and whatnot. And I'd be curious to see if anything, HARB has anything that we can do that is similar to that, or if we need to enlist LIPS to help us with something like that if it were to ever arise.
Okay.
But I also think that
previously both the county and the city have come before us. I want to keep it on a friendly term, certainly.
Yeah.
We have these projects ongoing. Maybe it's worth simply writing a letter at this point in time stating that,
Absolutely.
we would think that a HARB review would be appropriate.
Yeah, I'm not sure on the timeline on that project. If we, I did see an advertisement in the paper recently that they're still looking for proposals.
They're looking for proposals on the mural, and depending on how the bids go for the city park, that will be, but that's Monday. So again, they're going to sort things out, but
okay,
it's kind of late to change anything. Let's put it that way. But I think at least it should.
Yeah. Maybe I could, if you're okay with this, I could research the issue and have an answer for you at the next meeting. And then we can, based on what that is, and I'll be sure to send it to everyone, whatever my research reveals ahead of time. And then we can make a decision or vote on how you'd like to proceed at the next meeting.
I think that's the best we can do right now. I think that's appropriate. Does everyone else agree with that?
Yeah.
Yes. I think that's the best we can do right now, Dan. Okay. At least we know what's out there. We know what, what's kind of coming down the pike, and yeah.
Absolutely. And Brittany or the board, obviously, if you need me to write anything to anyone for the website or the map changes as well, I'm happy to help with that as well.
I will give you a call after.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. Is there anything else for this evening's meeting? Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Thank you, Conrad. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Katie. Thank you all.
Sorry I was late.
That's okay. I think we had a pretty productive meeting tonight. I thank you all, and we'll see you next month.
Bye, everyone.
Okay.
Take care.
Thank